Hello and welcome to Newsnight.
Thank you.
And it's nice to have you here. I would like to start off from the top. If you can tell us about the agency you superintend.
NASENI, established in 1992, is a government agency that promotes science and engineering infrastructure. It's an agency with a multi-mandate and also quite a vast mandate. But the key thing is you can look at it like a Swiss knife, for the presidency to do intervention in areas of science and technology. And every president has his own priority areas. For this administration, the president's priority area is how you can move research and development into commercially viable products. And I think it's important to mention that NASENI has a very special mandate. It's not structured like the other agencies. We're allowed to do business, we're allowed to open companies, we're allowed to open industries, we're allowed to do partnerships, from our laws. We're allowed to invest our excess funds, into various ventures. So when this administration came, the key thing or the key challenge that Mr. President threw at us is you shouldn't continue doing research and putting them on the shelves or just showing prototypes, but you should move them into the market. So we've been focusing on how we can do a lot of partnerships, how we can do technology transfer, how we can churn out products into the market, and by virtue of that build also a national brand. As you are aware, a lot of countries have their own national brand, but in Nigeria I think we have NNPC and very few national brands. But with this arrangement, how can we have more national brands? Therefore, by doing so, you create jobs. You utilize raw materials that we have, and then if you're able to export, you'll be able to earn some forex.
So I like the field you're in. I think the world is now going about STEM. Trying to get people interested in that sector. So it's interesting that that's where you play. How would you say it's been going so far, trying to get this special vehicle to get it to work in the Nigerian space?
STEM or...
No, I'm saying the agencies, okay, working in the science and tech, you understand, trying to get it.
Well, it's been going on well, because one of the things, you're going into business.
Yes.
Is not you have to pitch to your partners as to why they should collaborate with you, And one of the things is we put forward the national brand, show them how they could get more patronage if they work with NASENI. Secondly, we have a lot of engineers and scientists, over 2,000 within our network. This helps them domesticate their products, As you know, Nigeria has special challenges. So for you to have a product that thrives into the Nigerian market, you need to adopt it. You need to domesticate it to match, the environment so that it can prosper. So we offer that to them. We offer regulatory support. It's a different thing. We helping them engage an agency like NAFDAC, if we're into pharmaceutical and the likes, compared to these partners doing it all by themselves. Number one, we have experience and we have the relationship, to be able to handle that. So there are quite a number of things, we bring to the table, and of course, knowledge. Because you work across different sectors, you'll be able to have knowledge that typically, if you are working in isolation, you wouldn't have. And we share it and be able to scale these innovations.
Let me take you back to the issue you raised. You said the president said, stop just doing research, go further. One way I think I've always been critical, I grew up in the university environment, and I always asked myself, how come we can't translate, it appears, our research to affect our lives? And I'm interested in understanding how your agency, what you're doing, or how is that working out in your side? Okay,
one of the reforms that that we've done in NASENI and still ongoing is you also need to educate scientists and engineers and technologists that technology doesn't work in isolation.
Okay.
You know, and today we have a technology. I mean, we have an incubation hub right here in NASENI, and the whole idea is how do you bring business and accounting and pitching into science and engineering, because all over the world you have a lot of scientists and engineers developing products that the market does not need. You know, yes, it is fancy, it is cool, but then probably there's just no need for it.
Application-wise.
Yes, there's what we call product market fit, where whatever you are producing, the market really needs it and is willing to also pay for it. You know, there are things that are just nice to have. You know, we have them in cars. You know, probably in the past, if you remember, there's a typing glass.
Yes.
You know, until it became common. So, yes, you want to have it. It's a nice to have, but you know, it's not a must. You know, to have. Or now you see that there are some cars, they are boots. You know, once you wiggle your foot, you know, the boot opens. You know, it's a nice to have. But sometimes, if the cost of the nice to have, you know, is not the pain doesn't complement. I mean, the cost doesn't complement the pain that the customer is facing, then you end up, you know, not bringing this. So, going back to your question with regards to why a lot of research and development sits there, because there is no product market fit, you know, and during the development there is no consumer in mind. It's just an innovation. It's cool, and no one is thinking of, you know, the market. And when you are pitching, there's what we call the total available market, total obtainable market, because the whole market can be available, but what can you obtain? And then the serviceable available even market, you know. Some even want it, but they simply can't afford, you know, to have it. So until there's that handshake between business and science, engineering, you know, you wouldn't be able to take products to the market.
Do you think there's something that the academia, our ivory towers, need to put in? Because we're trying to get more universities, we have a lot of intellectuals or academicians, but it appears the output in terms of research being applicable and affecting the community, it looks like there's a big gap between that. Is that something they need to learn, to even, like some people are saying, even endowments, to drive endowments to university education?
Yes, we need to have some success stories. You know, if you look at the likes of Steve Jobs,
yes,
you know, he doesn't know how to code yet. You know, see what he did with Apple, and if you see a lot of those companies that started, you know, from the US, the driver is not the technical person. I think we need to tell more stories around how much the science and engineering world needs the business development bit of it in order to succeed. And then also, like we have adopted in NASENI, we don't want to go into any research and development without a commercial element to it. So from the word go, we need to have that commercial incorporation. And in fact, we've slowed down so much on research and development to look at the products that we've already developed. Let's take them to market, and that's our priority. Because you keep doing research and putting them on shelves, you know. But now we want it to have real impact, you know, to the society.
How is that transfer going to the marketplace?
I mean, a lot. We invited your media house to Irrigate Nigeria project. You know? Yes, and I think prior to that, from the prototype, you were also here to witness how we developed, you know, a solar irrigation system, and then you see hundreds of them being launched during the Irrigate Nigeria project going to work. So
that's a partnership.
Yes, that's a partnership.
Yeah. So how is it going to? What's the plan to let it get to as much as possible? You know, we're talking earlier about how to make it applicable, accessible and useful to.
It's the same
society.
example I'm giving you. The same device that we use now to do the Irrigate Nigeria program, which is an irrigation pump. You know, solar powered. You know, was developed here, and now it's available in the market.
Beautiful. Yes, let me take you then. You also are doing something, I think, with what's a new term we do now? The vehicles too.
Electric vehicles,
yes,
or new vehicles, green vehicles.
Electric. I'm more interested with that. How is that?
Yeah, it's going on well. We've built our prototypes, and next month we're expecting shipment of equipment, from our partner to set up our assembly plant. And by end of the year, we should be churning out electric vehicles.
Okay, let me take you on the issue of Nigeria's industrialization efforts, because I understand that's also one of your mandates. You're supposed to help see how you can help develop it. We have a great gap between what we need and what we have. How is that working out?
Well, it's going on well. Today we have 35 market-ready products, which have gone through that, and one by one we're taking them, to the market. Some, depending on whether it's bulk order, retail, and where the bit of manufacturing and putting them out there in a commercial quantity, we're sorting that out. But we're also working on appointing business development partners, because we're not positioned to do retail. I see a lot of questions where people see our product and say, okay, I want to buy one or two, but you can't do the whole value chain in a market. There are wholesalers, there are producers, there are retailers, there are even sub, in between that. So this year is to focus on having that structure, so that to ensure that it's available at market level retail quantity, if you may put it that way. But all these products, we have them but on a bulk order quantity. So for example, our solar street lights, if you are buying 10,000, then you can come and speak to us. But now we need to see how, because of pressure from the public that we want it, how do we develop that value chain? Because most of the businesses we do now are government to government, or business to business, or government to business. So they are bulk orders.
Yes.
And I believe Nigerians want to have, want to be able to access it at smaller quantity.
Okay, so you mentioned this issue of street light, and first I'm interested in how some of these things, like you said, is for agency to agency. It's bulk, and I think governments, either at state or federal level, are in a place to do that sort of thing. But on the issue of power, that's one issue. Once you mention it in Nigeria, everybody looks up. How are we going as regards working to see what we can do internally to address what we need?
Well, from our own end, as you are aware, we have the NASENI Solar Limited. It's before this administration, it was a 5 megawatt plant, and now we've moved it to 50 megawatts and pushing to 100 megawatts capacity. And what we are focusing on is isolated systems. So, for example, solar and inverter, or mini grids, and the likes, and that's our own bit in complementing the power challenge in the country. We've distributed a lot of solar home systems, close to 50,000 solar home systems, and we're developing a model because we do business. We are not just dashing them out. I think it's also a misconception that people need to understand about NASENI, because I have a lot of people asking, when are you going to come and share solar systems? We don't share for free, because for everything that we give out, we have a partner that owns a share in that product, and probably that partner is not willing to dash people, So our model is sustainable, where you sell, you put the money back. And I think this whole administration has been all about, let's live our true how do I put it?
According to the quote.
So that's why we are removing subsidy, and things like that. So these things are for sale, and you sell it, So we are doubling down on solar, but most importantly, solar and batteries. But most importantly, taking data. Because you have these things being sold in different parts of the country. You need to be able to take data on consumer pattern and performance, and that will enable you to concentrate your energy into which market gives you the most return.
Yes.
Also, we're talking now about things like consumer credit.
Yes.
Like our solar home systems, you pay over time. We have a payment plan. So with the data, you'll be able to understand that if you give a tailor, he's more likely to pay you back than a farmer. Or this product is more suitable for this demography, or a school teacher, and so on. So for me, I think the most important minus building the technology is the data that allows you understand what market you should leverage on.
Yes. Talking about the issue of your production, part of what a lot of people also worry about is where the parts coming from, who is benefiting from production. Because a lot of times they'll say we have a lot of goods in Nigeria, or a lot of products, whether it's minerals or whatever, and then we now take it out, it gets them buy again. How do we go about, or how does your agency go about getting the needed parts for this production?
Well, I would like to take us back to globalization.
Okay.
Globalization is basically saying the world is flat. Right? Yes, we know we have our own borders, but the world is flat in terms of access to raw materials and whatnot. The truth is, today, if you are going to go into production, there is nothing wrong. It is very good to promote local production and ensure that as much component, is coming from local sources. But it has to be at a competitive rate, and I think that is where the gray area is, and where we have to have balance. And every country has its own strengths. We need to understand our strength, and we need to leverage our strength. I remember one of our partners, came and we're having a discussion. And he said, and he's a German partner, he said, this component, if we order it, we need to wait for China. So this is Germany going to China to produce. Not because Germany cannot produce it, but cost effectiveness of producing that is cheaper from China, And I think this is something Nigerians need to also know and learn. Currently, based on our analysis, where we have the biggest strength is in our labor force, and which means in assembly.
Yes.
If we can source the parts local at a good price, fine. If we can't, we get it anywhere. But assembling it, which takes a major chunk of the final cost of the project, Nigeria is even more competitive than China in terms of labor cost, with regards to assembling of things. So if you look at the minimum wage in Nigeria versus the minimum wage in China easily you can hire 5 or this Nigerians. So it means if all the cost elements are fixed and we come to assembly level to compete with China, we'll beat China. So I think we need to concentrate. When we are setting up our factories, we need to focus more on assembly and then later do the integration back to manufacture. Also, don't forget, this is where China started from.
Sure.
They were the copycats of the world, and they didn't care. They were not ashamed of it. Until now, even countries like Germany, US have given up on allowing China, to produce. So you have to start somewhere. You cannot do it all in one day and gradually
scale up.
Yeah.
Okay, but you touched on something I'm interested in, and I'm hoping from your research, like you said, it's a very strong part of your work. The issue of Nigerian products and competing, as we're trying to. One of the things the present administration is trying to do is try and pushing Nigerian products. What has been your finding as you've tried to push your innovations into the market when it comes to Nigerians picking it up as against going for a foreign?
Well, my finding is the fact that if you give Nigerians what they want, you don't have a problem. You see, now you have refineries competing for local oil. No, we're not even talking about foreign oil. And I think you need to have a good understanding of the market. In every market, there are things that are that are local and peculiar to that market. It's not a subject of, I mean, it's like you, right? I offer you Chinese rice or, local or other rice. You 100 times you choose the local rice because it's been tailored, to our own taste. So I think the key thing is how do you domesticate it? Because everywhere in the world, people have different cultures, and people will always patronize things that are closer to their culture. If you look today, you hardly see the Nigerian president or presidents that have passed wear suit and tie. We always wear our own traditional attire, and most big dignitaries, people wear more of local attire than, including our music. We listen more to local music than
our fashion is going that way.
Yes, and an African would rather listen to a Nigerian song than an American song. So it's all about giving your locality what they want.
Okay. So you don't think we have a problem trying to convince them to be?
Well, you see, it's a market, and it's a free market, right? If you notice, even in music, the quality of Nigerian music has risen over time to be able to compete with the American. We're not saying just localize it, but localize it and give it the quality that is acceptable. Think global, but then act local, because your competitors are not just within the corridors of Nigeria. You can have a competitor from Ghana. I know of people that come from Ghana to come and cook in Nigeria. They cook Ghana local food in Nigeria. They're eating up a market, for Nigeria. Or you have, I think everywhere in the world now, you have Thai people going to do massage everywhere in the world, or Chinese people opening Chinese restaurants everywhere in the world. So you might think your competition is local, but really with globalization, competition could come from anywhere, and you have to be watchful of that.
Okay, so let me just take you, before we go on a break. I find it interesting, the structure that your agency has. It appears it's not a typical civil service structure. How does that work for you? How does that work?
Work in a good way or in a bad way?
All the sides, if you don't mind.
Well, I think, the forefathers that founded this agency understand that it's a special agency, and that's why it's directly under the supervision of the president. But it works in advantage because it reduces bureaucracy. Okay. It brings you closer to the market, because if you are not in a factory together with industry expert building things, how can you write a policy that will affect them or favor them directly? We don't want that gap. So this peculiar nature of agency ought to be utilized long time ago, but I'm glad this administration is bringing it to light. But the key thing is the whole idea of making it in the peculiar nature is understanding that you're going to do technology transfer, you're going to deal with international corporations, you're going to deal with private sector organizations, and you simply cannot be structured like the average government or typical government agency.
But if the areas you think are the areas you think would benefit from a change or an update?
Well, I think it's for us to utilize more of our act. Okay. I think the NASENI Act is grossly underutilized, and that is what we're trying to do, in this administration. The commercial element, the building factory element, it's a very, very interesting act. But I think maybe the first sets of people from core civil service, so there has been that laid back.
Okay. So they need to.
Yes, we need to go out there more and do businesses. Yeah.
Okay, but how does your funding go? Is this also? Does this? You spoke about the issue of if you have profits. So it's not like your stream is just from the.
No, our stream
budget.
Also comes, from the budget as well as other sources of funds. Okay. Like we earn profit from. From innovation sold, or from a share of company we have, or from returns. There's several ways.
I think I would like to pick up from the issue of the solar issue we're talking about. One of the projects I know we had, NASENI had tried to push very, very well, had been the issue of solar panel factories. I know you touched on solar before. Can you give us an update on that?
Not had tried. We're still trying, and we're still pushing for it.
Okay. So, but how is it going?
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, it was a 5 megawatt factory.
Yeah.
And we multiplied it by 10, making it 50 megawatts. And now we're trying to push it to even 100 megawatt annual capacity production factory. Besides that, we are also setting up a rack factory. Rack is what the solar sits on. What a lot of people don't know is it's minus the panel itself is the most important component of the solar ecosystem, because if you don't get the right angle and there's no stability, you even end up losing the panel itself, and you don't get the years that the manufacturer usually promise you it's going to last for 30 years. You don't get it, because if you put it on the wrong rack, probably that is rusty. It will eat up the panel at the end of the day. So we're setting up that, and many more components around this. I think the next phase is to start exploring inverters and storage that is modular, that comes with inverters, so that once people get more, their power consumption increases, they can adopt to catch up with that.
Okay. Now, looking at your agencies, what would you say are some of the key innovations that you feel stand out as an achievement for you so far?
Well, personally, depending on the person, but personally, I think our irrigation equipment. We're talking about food security, and the only way is if you can enable farmers to farm in multiple times. I remember when our partners came, we traveled, they saw the vast amount of land we have in the country, and then sun is everywhere. They almost went crazy, So we have sun, it's free. This equipment uses sun, and we have land for agriculture. So, for me, it will be my top innovation.
Okay, but in terms of agric, because agric is also a place we still have a lot of rural farming happening, non-mechanized farming. Are there anything in that direction? Any innovation in that direction?
We have mini tractors. Yes, designed for farming. You see, again, you have to understand where you operate.
Yes.
We speak about mechanized farming, but some of the farms you go, owned by communities, you see a farmer owning half a hectare,
small patches,
another one owning 1 hectare. So if you are going to do mechanized farming, whose farm are you going to roll over to, with the tractor? So it's for more structured listen. But for our local farmers, it's things like the mini tractor, that they can use because it's tiny, or farm implements that have handheld attachments. So you need to understand the peculiarity of the environment to be able to foster, solutions to them.
Okay, I'm interested in your laptop. I understand that, and I'm interested. Can you tell us about that?
Well, you have it here, and I would like you to, to feel the quality, and see for yourself. I think recently we've seen some countries even trying to ban importation of certain devices, especially the ones that collect sensitive information.
Yes, there was that battle.
Exactly.
Government battle.
And also, I think the same thing happened in Beirut, Lebanon. So the laptop is in partnership with another local company.
Oh, local?
Yes, it's local.
Okay.
It's a local company. You see, one thing we've realized, and part of our strategy, is what we call leveraging on existing infrastructure. Anywhere we find a local player that has already worked hard in a project that we're trying to do and is willing to partner, why not partner rather than try to reinvent the wheel?
Yes.
Because I don't know what we need to do to change the Nigerian mindset about trying to build everything from scratch by yourself, by government. It doesn't work. Today in the world we even have private army, which are mercenaries, right?
Yes.
So if you can outsource security, what can be outsourced? But the key thing is, how do you play in the most efficient manner? If the efficiency means renting a factory, then you should rent it. Not try to build just because you are trying to impress or you are trying to do a grand show, around it. So we need to move away from show projects or white elephant, projects. So anywhere we see possibility for partnerships, we go into it. In fact, we don't finance or we don't invest in a project alone by ourselves. All our projects have a component of private sector. Somebody is bringing money. And really, when you are bringing money, somebody is bringing money, at least you are 50% sure that the risk is low, because it's an attestment that whatever you are doing, has some potential in it. Willingness of another person to risk funds with you.
Okay, so you also have the battery here.
Yeah, it's one of our products. The battery. We also have this is part of the solar home system. And it's modular. So if your consumption increases,
okay,
let's say you have a small shop, and then the consumption increases, you can continue to buy this, to attach it as many. And this is the screen where you can recharge,
okay,
so you can get this on, on credit, and you pay as you go. And from this screen, you'll be able to punch in the credit. If you don't, it locks, based on your consumption. So this is like your meter system. Okay. And, it's from this that we want to take as much data, to be able to understand spending patterns. And this is the battery. This is where you put you connect with the solar panel.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you take it outside your home. So, this I remember when we were showcasing the products that we do to Mr. President, he was very particularly interested about this because it's small, it's mobile, and it's something the market woman can use. It's something like a barber shop can use, It's just, tailored for our need. And again, understanding the local market is what will make you develop something like this. And also the fact that it is modular. We see today you have a barber shop, you are cutting one person's hair at any given time. It's grown to 2 to 3, so your power consumption increases.
Yes.
In the past, you have to bring down the whole power system, either sell it, but with this modular design, you just need to clip more batteries, and then you are good to go.
And then you move. I'm interested in the part you spoke about, the what we call pay small.
Mm-hmm. Or buy now, pay later.
Or buy, exactly.
Yeah.
How do Nigerians get involved to get your products through your partners, as you said?
So currently we work with state communities.
Okay.
So they help us, mostly the state electrification board.
Okay.
So they help us identify customers that need these devices based on certain criteria.
Okay.
But slowly we're trying to see how we can make it open.
Okay.
Where you can go online, input your BVN and so on, and then you'll be able to access these products.
Okay, so for right now, it's walking through the communities.
Yes, state communities mostly.
Okay, I would like to take us back to the issue of, I don't know, the issue of, you mentioned that for a lot of, you try to work with people who are already in the industry. Mm-hmm. Once in a while, we hear of young Nigerians who maybe feel they have an innovation, mm-hmm, or feel they have invented something. Mm-hmm. Are there ways you search them out?
Yes.
For things?
Yes, we have a program we are going to launch, okay, probably in the next 1-2 months, which is an innovation challenge.
Lovely.
Yeah, and the innovation challenge is saying everybody that has something to show, just come and let's put you through a challenge. And if you win, there is a prize, and from prize there is like a sort of a crash course school where we teach you how to do business of replicating it, and then also give you other kind of support. Essentially having a melting point between business and what do you call it, engineering or science or innovation.
Or talent.
Yes. And right here in our headquarters we have an innovation hub.
Okay.
So it's a hub that allows people from outside to come and showcase whatever they have and learn things. Today, if you go to Silicon Valley, there are so many innovation hubs, technology hub, incubation center. So we have our own. And this is a testament saying that we are open to the public and we are willing to help these young innovators, bring their ideas to life. A lot of them have beautiful ideas, but I keep on repeating to the fact that it is one thing to develop something in your house. It is another thing when somebody asks you to produce them in thousands.
Yes.
1% of the country asks for your product. That's 20 million, right? Or 2 million. It's not a small number, and it's not the logistics, the supply chain management is not a joke. So it is very important that you bring them up to speed to reality as to how business world affects innovation.
Let me just pick your brain on this. Do you think, as we are right now, we're primed for people to take advantage and launch in terms of, just as you're saying, I have a business idea, I want to optimize it, do you think the way our country is right now, we're really primed for that?
Yes, I think because we have a lot of challenges, and our challenges are best understood by local people, But so we are ripe for that, but I think the understanding and the mindset needs to be recalibrated towards scaling.
Okay.
Because in business, if you are not careful, it's your customers that will kill the business by having so much demand. And what I mean is, if you are not able to scale something that is in demand, it will create customer dissatisfaction. And then they will move, to another customer. Because often you hear that, okay, this product came in, I'm sure you've had that before. This product came in, everybody likes it, and it has just disappeared.
Yes.
So...
what you used to like about it appears to have reduced.
So sometimes when the pressure is much, you spread yourself too thin. You either spread yourself in cumulative stock in a particular location or quality.
Yeah.
And then everything disappears.
Okay, now let me take you on the issue of, science and tech is something that the world everybody is trying to push to, when you get young ladies, get them involved in science and tech. But a lot of people have questions with our education, what they're taught in schools. And they feel that as it is, the way the school curriculum is right now may not be ideal for raising people that will launch out into the space and tech world. I don't know, what's your own finding in the space you are, in between policy, in between getting the product out?
Well, I think it's a global problem,
okay.
And that is why STEM was introduced, because a lot of countries all over the world have realized that, too much theory does not necessarily translate into actionable this. And so we started creating programs like STEM, where it's like a sort of a crash course, in between engineering and taking things into, reality. So not completely discounting the education system is this thing, but I think there are areas where you have improvement, and it's a continuous process of life. Continuously you have to improve on your education system and everything around you. So and that's what policy makers do. You find out information, you compare what's happening in other countries. You've seen the ones that have successfully done. In fact, an agency like NASENI was copied from the Asian Tigers, where in each country they have a primarily agency driving science and engineering infrastructure change, and look at where it took and it was copied and adopted in Nigeria. So you need to improve, regardless, and you need to make new innovations within education systems to be able to catch up with the activities of the world.
Okay, now I would like to know from you, maybe we'll settle on you now, because I think you stand out as somebody who's young, in charge of an agency of government. Let me start with, how do you handle, do we call it political pressure? As I'm sure from where you are right now, because of the place your agency holds, I'm sure there will be some political pressure. How do you handle it?
Well, I think number one, I'm an entrepreneur.
Okay.
That's before my background, before coming here. And every day you wake up as an entrepreneur is a problem. And they said the first rule of being an entrepreneur, is saying no. I don't know how else to put it, because there's a funny cartoon of the invention of the person who listened to everybody, and it was a car. And the car, the boot is yellow, the door is green, because it listened to, everybody.
And everybody had a different opinion.
Yes, opinion, right? So, but the key thing is, one of the first things that I did upon assuming this role is to have a roadmap.
Okay.
And a roadmap that is in line with Mr. President's direction, and to go back to him to endorse that roadmap. And this has been adopted as our Bible, if you may call it, for everyday activity. So you get pressure, you have to learn how to manage it. Every day, you wake up with at least 50 missed calls.
Yes.
And each of these means, nobody will ask, like, how are you doing? And if they're asking you how you are doing, it's just a means to
get to
the next request, which is going to be a request. But the requests are interesting, because I think for the first time now, people understand what NASENI does. Come and do a project in my town, come and set up a factory. So I would call them positive requests.
Okay.
Because people are asking for tangible work, not telling me anything for the boys, or So, and I think the way you interact with people also bring about clarity. If you're a serious person, people know. If you're an unserious person, people know. If you are the kind that that will do freebies, people also know. And it's good for people to know you for who you are, and then you stick to it, and try to be professional, about things, and that helps manage pressure. You can't eliminate, political pressure, but I think I will call them good political pressure. After we launch Irrigate Nigeria project, I think the next, or 2 mornings later, we received letters from at least 8 governors. Where will I find the money to? I said, okay, why don't you should write to our chairman, which is Mr. President, and tell him that you really want this project, in your town. And then we started receiving letters from ministries trying to collaborate for the same project, So I will call it, positive pressure. Before now, 1 year ago, when we write to people reconsider even taking a meeting with NASENI. That let's not come and waste their time. To a situation where you have so much pressure and trying to say, okay, you don't have enough resources to be able to accommodate all the requests coming. So I think it's a positive one.
Okay, so help me now. You're a young person, you're heading an agency in Nigeria, where most places are headed by people who are way older. How does that mix work? What have you found working as a young person in Nigeria?
Well, to be honest, I think if you really have something to offer, people are willing to listen to you, and people are willing to support you. Okay. And I think it's an advantage, because today I can go to the Senate, the House of Reps, they are young, but I can go to the Senate and tell them, your son, please give me
any assistance,
what I want, to be able to achieve my this thing. And I remember vividly, one of the first things I told Mr. President when he gave me this appointment is that, see, as at now, I'm the youngest person you appointed, so I cannot afford to fail. Anything I need as support, please give it to me. And he said, no, don't worry, just focus, you know, on your work and you should be fine. So I think there's the advantageous, you know, aspect of it. There's also the disadvantage that people, you know, are waiting for you to mess up or
fail,
or try to poke you and see what comes out of it. You know, so you will age quickly. What I mean by age quickly is mentally.
Yes.
You know, I think there's a proverb that says, if a young man washes his hand, you eat, you dine with. So, but it also, you have to understand that you represent a whole community, you represent your family, you represent the country. You know, you can't do so many of the things that the young people do.
Yes, yes,
you
yes.
know, and then you should be fine.
Okay. Now, how was your transition? You were an entrepreneur. You now came into a government
agency.
How was the transition?
Yeah, it is good because, you know, as an entrepreneur, you don't like going to everything where everything is done. You know, so what is the challenge? So it was a challenge, you know, because it's a different environment, but I don't want to leave it as at that. Today, here in my office, you see, we don't have paper. Completely NASENI now is paperless. I don't know another government agency that is completely paperless. Today, before you leave, you try to go and submit letter, they tell you, sorry, you can't do it online, you know. So there is that shock of, okay, so is this how civil servants, you know. Before then, I can't remember the last time. The only time I use pen maybe is when I go to the bank. Of course, I use it because it looks nice on my shirt, but I go to the bank and they ask me to sign. And then maybe after 1 month now, I've exhausted a whole pen. And I kept it, it's still there, you know, to show that as a souvenir to myself. So every day, you know, it was just files and, you know, your hands are sweating. So there is that transition, and you know how you sequence things in private sector. Okay, I have a meeting at 10, and then this and that, and then after that there is a lunch break, you know, and then it's difficult in public service.
Yes.
You get a call from another big man, and then you have like 5 people standing on your head.
Yes.
You know, I used to visit my friends that are in the public sector, and how do you cope and do it? But if I'm being honest, it also, you know, the human mind is elastic, and the human brain is elastic. And I've come to realize that one of the smartest people we have in the country and the most dynamic people are in civil service, because they are able just to manage too many complex things at the same time. You just need to be given that opportunity, and you speak to them nicely. You'll be surprised and shocked at, you know, the kind of information, the kind of dynamism, you know that exists. But definitely is a tough one, and I'm very glad that I've tried that aspect of it.
Before I leave you, let me ask you, when you look at NASENI, what would you like Nigerians, if you want to say you had one wish, what will your wish be for NASENI?
The go-to partner for our local problems.
Yeah. Across board? Across
board. Because really, when you build a factory to solve a local problem, you are creating jobs, you are impacting the GDP. If you export it, you are earning forex. If you consume it locally, you are saving the naira from, you know, drain. So it's all in one. You know.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure having you.
Thank you.
Well, that is our discussion this week. Let's get your reactions and comments to the discussion. Reach out through our social media handles and the email address. We also have past episodes on our YouTube channel. Yes, Channels TV on YouTube. Search for News Night under playlist and take your pick. Thanks for spending your time with us. Bye.